Welcome back, baseball fans, to another elimination video of the Milwaukee Brewers, who surprised everybody and made the playoffs. There were some Cinderellas, and gosh, the Brewers were beyond Cinderella for most of them. They weren't even considered to possibly be a Cinderella team. Teams like the Angels and the Blue Jays and the Rangers fit that category. They all folded. Brewers got scaldingly hot in the postseason tournament, winning 10 of 12. But then they lost a very tough series to the White Sox, 3-2 in the wild card round. By the way, the Brewers ended the season last year against the White Sox, but it was in the round of the 7 of the postseason tournament when those two teams were battling for third place in their own division, and the White Sox finished in 4th. That's how bad the Brewers had been. This year, 261, a 308 pitching staff. 2 years in a row, this Brewer team is getting good pitching. Enough hitting this year, 3 over 500. Net runs 185, and they gave up 167. So this is a straight up good baseball team. They have George Scott, acquired in a trade in the offseason, did everything asked to him. Gold Glove first baseman, hitting 330. 37 RBI to pace the team, 59 hits. John Briggs, nice platoon outfielder, had a big year. Don Mincher, a 280 hitter, hit 280. Steve Hovley, a 274 hitter, hit 274. Rick Reichert, a 270 hitter, hit 270. Everybody did what they were told to do. J.L.U. was a little under at 263. Fregosi was big under. He should have hit 280, hit 243. Darrell Porter's rookie, not so much. McMullen is an everyday player, did not have the batting average. Theobald, utility player, platoon guy. No speed on this team. Good infield defense, questionable outfield defense. 330 on base percentage is good. That's the story of the offense. The big story, of course, is this team has Ken Sanders as the closer. So the Brewers were going to become dangerous if they can get a lead after 8 innings. And Sanders delivered 14 saves, 25 2/3 innings, a .140 ERA. Did make things interesting late by allowing a couple runners to reach in those save opportunities, but he delivered. Bill Parsons has had a couple great years for this team. 85 innings, no complete games, but a 274 ERA. He's a starter 7. Torres, acquired in the George Scott trade, did a fine job for a guy looking for a permanent home. Jim Colburn had a lot of tough luck as the ace of this team. Had 114 innings, but lost 9 games, 4-9. Did have 3 complete games. Statistically, he was all right, though. 361 ERA and a .138 are a little bit below his stats, but close enough, you know. Jerry Royce had a 4.11 ERA on his card. His ERA was 4.10. This team played it straight up as a mediocre team with a mediocre result. And yeah, they finished +3. And yeah, they should be commended for going +3 in a big way without much name recognition, particularly moving forward. George Scott and Fregosi's cards will be up. We'll see that soon, as will Ken Sanders. I have no idea what this means for Milwaukee moving forward. This could have just been a lucky year where a mediocre sub-500 team gets to 500 and continues past 500 miraculously and almost beats a very good White Sox team. But let's take a look now at the Brewer stack. We got to pull out their 8 1970 players, and in a lot of cases it's going to be very painful to see the guys we pull out for this Brewer team. So I keep one eye open, keep one eye closed. I like to see. There's beauty and sadness here for the Milwaukee 8. The 1978. So there are some great and some bad. So there they are, the 8. And we know some major contributors that have got to be addressed. But before we do that, let's see who's coming back next year. So is this thing thinking about going back to the playoffs next year? Are they waiting to get Robin Yount on this team and Gorman Thomas and Sixto Lezcano and guys like that? Are we there yet? I don't think so. I think we're still too far away from Harvey's Wallbangers. We got 8 hitters and 4 pitchers. We got Don Mincher. That's a nice little DH first baseman. Daryl Porter catching. They put catcher at first. McMullen's at third. Theobald's at second. You also have Jerry McNerney in a nice platoon with Daryl Porter. So you have your catchers, a first base, a second base, a third base, and some outfielders. Surprisingly efficient outfielders, I would say. It was this guy. You know, 270, 3 homers, 196 at-bats, but yeah, he got power full-time, and he had 8 home runs in 179 at-bats. And you see how he has to do it on his card. And he can play center field as a 3 with a -1 arm. So you could put Briggs, again, Johnny Briggs probably his best year, as a corner outfielder who can't throw, can't play every day either. Okay, but look, I mean, a lot of power, a lot of home runs. And the other guy is this Reichert guy, who was a White Sox player. And this is the anonymous outfield. These are actually pretty good guys when you put them all together. They all hit over 270 with 19 homers here. You know, and he could play every day. Actually, it's righties better than lefties. So the no-name outfield of the Brewers is not awful. I mean, it's, you know, they pale. It's probably one of the worst outfields in all the game, but, you know, they don't have one anchor that's horrible here. So, and then the pitchers, we got 4 of these guys coming back. So Colburn, we brought his card into the league with a 73 card. 20-game winner, 318. He's slightly underachieved, but he had some really bad luck, so that's, you figure, is going to turn around. He's a starter 8. He'll probably throw a lot more complete games. Love this Bill Parsons card. He was a pretty good pitcher for the 71 Brewers. 320. Pretty comparable. Earl Stevenson, not your conventional lefty in the pen as he walks lefties, but he has a 3.28 ERA. And, of course, Mike Torres is your 3rd starting pitcher. Now, this guy was with Montreal, and he bounces all over baseball. But Milwaukee might say, you know what, we're pretty much, consider us to be an expansion team like the Seattle Pilots. And expansion teams like guys who travel around baseball and make many stops. Maybe he finds a home here in the long term in Milwaukee until righties like Jim Slayton show up, or Moose Haas shows up, you know, or Pete Vukovich shows up, guys like that. Maybe Torres sticks around in Milwaukee. We'll see. So let's take a look at those 8 1970 Milwaukee players and see what is the future for this young team. Okay, baseball fans, we'll take a look at these Milwaukee Brewers, and it's going to be 4 hitters and 4 pitchers that are up for audition. Got some names they relied on. Some other guys they're glad are moving on. It's a one eye open, one eye closed situation. JLU, this will spell it this way. And his long career. One of the Alu, Matty, cousin of Jose, and uncle of Moises, Luis Emil Rojas. A huge family of Alu and Giants, Astros. Long run with the Astros as a pinch hitter. A lot of games played, not necessarily a lot of at-bats until in the 70s. In the 60s, yeah. Was a great pinch hitter in the 70s in the National League, beginning in 72. His 70-year, 487 plate appearances, hit 306. Not a lot of homers, just 1, or walks or strikeouts. 15 strikeouts and 487 at-bats. Incredible, ability to not strike out. 306, 719 OPS. So 71, 2, 3, and 4 are all available. 71 is a fine year at 279. He's not associated with Milwaukee Brewers. he was basically a toss-in the George Scott trade, involving Boston, Oakland, and Milwaukee, a 3-team trade. He is certainly good enough to be a keeper. At this point, let's just make him a keeper, and he is the bar. And you can find 4 guys better than JLU. You can put them on waivers. But let's see where it goes from here. All right, Jim Fregosi, a guy that the Mets had, the Angels had, and the Angels traded him with a strong card, and he was part of the Nolan Ryan 3-team trade. Actually, of course, he would play for the Angels up until 72 when he goes to the Mets. Now, so the All-Star card of 70 was just in play here, and from here on, it becomes pretty ordinary. 679 plate appearances. He would not have more than 399 after that. 71, 2, 3, and 4. Now remember, he's in Milwaukee, so he's not attached anywhere. And maybe Milwaukee goes, you know what? We really just wanted this 70 card, and we had it for a couple years. And it's time to move on and find somebody else. He would be a big name waiver player, guy put on waivers, or a keeper. You kind of have an option. And frankly, with the stats we're seeing, it's really just take a look at the Strat card and see if he's got an advantageous split, some great defense in a particular position, and see, the Angels, the Mets, the Rangers, these are all in play here. He will be in the carryover league, probably for the next 4 years at least. It's a question of for who. They can entertain trade offers. Let's start him out as a keeper. Let's make him a keeper for now. And that makes Alu as a better keeper, I would say, between these two players. All right, next guy is Dick Scofield. He had a great 69 card that went to and we used it for Toronto. The father-son, both named Dick Scofield. And long career with the Cardinals and Pirates, came in the game at age 18. I think 60 Pirates, he would have been on that World Series team there. And the 69 card with Boston was very good. As far as 349 on base, 257 hitter, utility player, switch hitter, played everywhere in the infield. In 70, he really was only good against righties and not against lefties. In 71, it'll be his final year, and a similar performance, but it's all about versatility as a utility player. Can he play multiple positions? Can he help a team be that 20th player on the team, the utility player? So before you write an end to his career, we'd have to look at his Strat card, if it exists. And he splits his time in 71 between the Cardinals and Brewers. Do they make his card is consideration number one. If they don't make his card, we have to put him in retirement. Cardinals and Brewers in 1971. So we're going to go to the roster sheet. That's Gary's roster page, superds.tripod.com in 71. And we're going to see if Dick Scofield's card was printed in his first edition for the Cardinals or Brewers. Start Milwaukee in the infield. Looking for Mr. Scofield. He's not there. Extra players, he's not there. Let's go to St. Louis. And Mr. Scofield is not there. Is he down here? He is not there. And in this edition, they didn't make those nameless extra cards. So, yeah, his career will be over. Dick Scofield. That's fine. He helped out Toronto last year, and he went to the playoffs for the Brewers this year. So that's a nice finish to his career. Next up, George Scott. He will stick around. This Boston-Milwaukee. Let's go see the migration of George Scott here. It's intriguing, you know. So Boston to Milwaukee, back to Boston. And that's it. So really it's one tenure in Milwaukee between Boston stops and a finish in KC, New York. So we brought him along. We made this trade happen so he goes to the Brewers with a 70 card. So the Brewers are going to take advantage of this at least through 76, and he's going to have some huge numbers for this franchise. The power is bigger here than it was here with Boston, which is strange when you consider Fenway Park. But yeah, he's going to be into his prime at age 28, having monster years. He's the top priority in the offseason for the Milwaukee Brewers. And frankly, we moved him out of Boston because Boston just didn't need him, really. Boston had Petrocelli at shortstop in 69, moving over there to third base. You had Yaz wanting to play first base more than in left field because you had so many outfielders. You had Reggie Smith was still here, Tommy Harper. You still have Rick Miller, Freddie Lim, Dwight Evans. You got so many outfielders in Boston. So George Scott just did not fit. Interestingly enough, they won him back in 77. That's a cool story. And we'll get him back to the Red Sox in due time. So there's that. Now we're going to look at some pitching. Most of this is not pretty. We're going to begin with Jerry Royce. He's getting close, and he might actually be getting to one of his big years. He's got a Dodger. Don't have his Pirate hat on yet. He's close here, folks. In the early 70s, yeah, it's not pretty here, right? But with Pittsburgh, yeah, the big year is 75. The 254 ERA and an all-star appearance. The 74 card with Pittsburgh is in play. The 73 card has been in play as well. So if you're Milwaukee and you stole this guy out of the Cardinal farm system, you might as well max him out until the Pirates and Dodgers come knocking. So if I'm Milwaukee, I'd be bold and let the phone ring, because Royce could be a monster if you hold on to him. The funny part about this is he is with Milwaukee in 1989 at age 40. Isn't that funny? But here, Pittsburgh or the Dodgers, two perennial playoff teams in the decade, are going to ring Milwaukee's phone. He's a keeper because we know he's going to have at least one card that's going to be outstanding. In 74, that card is available. We're a year away from this one, but the 74 card in 260 innings, and even a 73 card, these cards are going to be available. So he's definitely a keeper, but I'm also going to put in the notes, because Milwaukee is still building a young team, but you really are trading him at this point, right? You want to trade him and get some good players, because historically I'd like to move Royce to either Pittsburgh or the Dodgers because of the historical reasons, because we know he would be on some playoff teams, and that's one reason to get him off of Milwaukee. It's just that those teams are going to have to pony up a lot. All right, next guy, Dan McGinn, who, let's see, there he is. Got a couple cards, 69 and 70. They put his name Don one year and Dan the next. Which is, look at that, though. How does a guy go 7 and 10 2 years in a row? Look at that. Did it all in the bullpen in 69 for the expansion Spos, but he had 19 starts a year later with the card we used. It wasn't a pretty whip card either. This is a guy you hope you can put on waivers if his card exists for the Expos in 71. Now, 71 innings for left-handed pitcher, you hope it exists for the Expos. Montreal. Oh, he's not there. Please make him an extra player here. He is. He's an extra player right there. So he qualifies for waivers. So we want to keep as many guys off of retirement as we possibly can at this point of the process. So he's on waivers because he throws left-handed. Not very well. But yeah, he could be pushed into retirement. But again, we're always looking for left-handed pitching in our league. A couple more pitchers here. We have John Gelner. He had a 69 and 70 combination as well. I'm seeing this guy has been in the league many times. The Seattle Pilot card was printed, and this 70 card for Gelner. There's a picture of him was printed. He's got a Pilot hat and a Pittsburgh Pirate hat here. So 71, it's over. Yeah, it's over. He didn't at age 28. He just didn't make it. You know, inning and a third. His career is over. So he is on retirement. John Gelner. Which leads us to Ken Sanders, the Brewer All-Star. In this timeline, he served that role. It's funny, but when you're trying to find a when you're trying to find an all-star from bad teams, often you go to closer because they usually don't get touched. They don't get bad stats. And I mean, a closer's a closer in the 9th inning, and so that's what happened. Sanders was pretty much getting saves. It's just that he wasn't getting tons of saves because Milwaukee wasn't very good in my carryover league. So that's the card right there. The 70 card at age 28, and he's not done, folks. He gets 16 MVP votes a year later. 83 appearances, 77 games finished, and 31 saves in 1971. So there you go, folks. That is fantastic news. So Milwaukee will be building this team next year on the backs of George Scott and Ken Sanders. And beyond that, Royce is a very nice trade piece, meaning that J.L.U. and Jim Fregosi, guys who we know will be playing in this league, Milwaukee would not really need those guys that much. And they might get something handsome back in a Jerry Royce trade, and then they could keep either one or the other between Al-Lou and Fregosi. In this configuration, you see 5 keepers, 1 waiver, and 2 retires. You can only keep 4 guys. So we know they're going to keep Sanders. We know they're going to keep Scott. And we have to figure out what's going to happen with Jerry Royce. What are we going to do with his future? Are we going to get him on Pittsburgh? Are we going to get him on the Dodgers? Will an expansion team like the fictional ones who like these guys, because Royce also played for a bunch of different teams. So these expansion teams, the Las Vegas and Portland, they like to find dudes like this and say, hey, you don't have to bounce around anymore. You can play here your whole career. And so that's what they might do as the compromise between Pittsburgh and the Dodgers, right? Instead of having 2 trips in his future, he might just have 1 trip, and it could be to Pittsburgh or to Las Vegas or Arizona or to Colorado, because there's so many more teams now than there was in the traditional MLB. So that's something to look forward to. It's a pretty shiny, it's a pretty bright future because we have Robin Yount on the horizon, and then we're going to have Sixto Lozcano, and I mean, they're not going to the World Series anytime soon, but they're going to get incrementally better through this decade, and particularly in the offense. It's going to be fun watching this Milwaukee team grow. This playoff performance is an outlier. They still probably have a lot more work to do till they're in the playoffs every year. And we're waiting for the Robin Yount Brewers and the Kansas City Royals of George Brett to be the top teams in this division versus the White Sox and Twins. So right now, give the White Sox and Twins their flowers and wait for that transition to the Brewers and Royals. All right, that's it for Milwaukee Brewer elimination video. Thanks for checking this out, and we'll see you next time.